LPT, stop staying longer than you have to at work. Sure, you may think that it gets you noticed for a promotion, but it also gets you noticed to be used. If they're paying you for 8 hours, work no minute more and no minute less. I was told recently at work, by the boss, that I am the most reliable on-call person when they need it. She knows I travel an hour plus and had to tell me it's okay to say no, and since then everything is making more sense. Passively hoping you'll be promoted is a losing strategy anyway. If you want to be promoted, ask to be promoted. The response you get be extremely informational about what steps you need to take. Get it in writing. Last review, my boss said 9 months to promotion. When I asked at the 9-month mark, he said 12 to 15 months. I reviewed my note, to my brother, and it was 9 months. I expressed my annoyance to my CEO. CEO asked for 3 more months, to coincide with next review cycle. This, among other things, has made me lose confidence in my boss. I had a boss who was very unimpressed by people working late. He saw it as evidence that they were inefficient and probably just phonies trying to get attention. Coming in early, on the other hand. Ask your boss what you need to do in order to get promoted. Working an extra 15 minutes might help, but more than likely it will involve thinking about your job and how to make it better for yourself/the team/company/customer. I like overtime in that way, that I can take said hours off on another day. Made 40h overtime last year, which gives me an additional week off this year, which is cool imo. But that's probably not standard in the US, as I'm living in Germany. Same is true for full-time salary. When you die, your boss replaces you and your company moves on. Why sacrifice any more time to them than the obligated 40 HR/WK? Never take a on your own time. That depends on the industry, the company, the job, and a person's own motivations and work ethic. You do you. I have had great success in my career working as many hours as was required to ensure a success for the business. I also let my manager know when things became unreasonable as to share the load. If you walk out that door and knowingly let something fail, then you can kiss promotion goodbye. Depends on the industry and a company you work for. I'm a team leader in our IT department and work for a large biopharma company. Our supervisor is located across the country. I've seen him face to face once a year and we communicate once a month. As long as everything is running like a tight ship, I show up to work whenever and go home by 3 p.m. I even send my teammates home early most of the time. This is such a non-pro tip. I dunno, man. OT brings me to $46.5 HR. I'll take my sweet time with whatever they want, lol. Plus hard work equals unpromotable because they'll lower productivity if they move you up. Any overtime you make is work time and debt. You'll pay it back in exhaustion and burnout. Terrible advice for many industries and companies. This attitude might work if you are flipping burgers, but it won't in many jobs where you have large amounts of responsibility. This is a good manager. If she backs it up when you do say no, make good and sure you get and stay on her good side. That will do wonders for you either at your job now, or when she takes another for a promo and brings you along. My mentor told me 2 things I will never forget: no is a complete sentence, and never set yourself on fire so others can stay warm. Edit. Just also remembered you don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. If you want to be promoted, ask to be promoted. In some industries, promotions aren't automatic nor based on accumulated merit. You have to apply for the role you wish to be promoted to, including just leaving. It can be very informational about that. I was already doing 11 of the 20 tasks listed in the position above mine. The position that makes 3x what I make. Because they couldn't find anyone qualified and those tasks needed to be done, so I taught myself how to do them. I could have easily taken over the other 9, but those required access I didn't have. I applied for the higher position thinking this was a piece of cake. Surely they'll see how quickly I learned those 11 tasks and how good I was at them. I was pulled into an office and told my reach was bigger than my reality. Exact words. The man they finally hired to do the job lied on his resume and doesn't actually have the qualifications required for the job. He's constantly asking me what he should do. Every single thing I tell him is stuff that I have already proposed to the higher-ups myself. Every single thing was shot down when I proposed it because I'm not qualified. And guess what? Now that he's the one proposing these same exact things, they're getting done. LOL, I'm only staying here until I'm done with my degree in 2 years. Then I'll work for myself. I'm so sick of the corporate world and old men not listening because I have a. It's ridiculous. My reach is my reality. Try and stop me. This is excellent advice. I have a story to back it up. When I interviewed at my current job 3 years ago, I said the most cringy thing to my would-be boss and in front of the company president. I was asking if they promote from within and I said because I want your job. It was so cringy to me at the time, but 3 years later, I have his job. I went from entry level to director of operations in 3 years in a field I had zero experience in before. My salary has increased by 230%. My boss brings up my interview all the time and honestly loved that I said I wanted his job. He needed to take on more responsibility and knew he had someone in line to take over. I would also like to add that I'm a woman in a company that is 5% women. I was extremely intimidated by that fact, but please don't let it stop you from finding upward mobility. Polish up your resume and go get that promotion yourself. At my last job, I was promised to be in the $80,000 to $90,000 range in 2 years. The second year was bad for the company, so I waited one more. When year 3 came around and my boss nickel and dimed me a couple thousand from what was promised, I went out and took a competitive offer of $120,000. That's why I left my first serious role in IT. Worked at a Fortune 500 company and told me I'd be contract to hire, but would be hired at 6 months. 6 months came, number 9 months. 9 months came, no a year. A year came and I gave them another chance. Within the month I went to my next company. Honestly, I am unimpressed with leadership when I need to work late. Staff your organization appropriately. I did not sign up to do 5 people's jobs. I come in early just to center myself. My day feels terrible if I can't get settled and think about what I'm working on, but it is a fair point that I'm not getting paid for the extra hour. NGL, I see those both as the same thing except where the out of hours is placed on the day and fooling certain people. I'm usually exhausted in the morning and get efficient in the evening/night. So in mandatory 9 to 5 jobs and end up staying later and later to get a little wee bit off productivity out of my job. Then I promptly burn out. It's not the standard, but some companies do this. I'm told I have the option of taking OT worked as paid time off later. So I do. It can bring me extra vacation on top of my regular 10 days paid. For sure on this one. Also, if you are salary and work more than your agreed upon hours, you are effectively devaluing yourself and giving your employer a discount on your work output. You know, I've actually had 2 people on a project I'm on die over the last 3 years. One, I only knew her only for a specific task, but it was obvious everyone was shaken up and mourning, even though the work had to start over and still get done. The other was an odd situation. The guy had worked there for 48 years, we were the client of another company, at a site in another state. He wanted to keep coming to work, I assume because that's what he'd done for his whole life. It was really awkward when it became obvious he wasn't mentally there anymore, and I'd get emails that almost looked like spam/scams from him, trying to follow up on an activity. The company put someone else on our project to help him, but let him keep participating as he was able, which, he wasn't. Honestly, it was horribly sad to watch his mental decline, and created some awkwardness for the person helping him, cause he wanted to keep doing things himself and not be helped. I even called their project manager expressing concern about his health, and the project manager basically said he's going through something right now, I'm concerned too, please utilize this other person we've assigned on the project, but we're not forcing this guy out if he wants to be here. Honestly, I'm left conflicted now that he's passed. I'm glad the company let him keep coming in if he really wanted to, but he also deserved time at home to rest. Then again, maybe he was trying to avoid just sitting around at home, waiting to die. He was the type of person who hadn't retired because he wouldn't know what to do with himself. I actually had that conversation with him, probably around 2 a.m. when I'd go on site and wind up at night shift. However, I also wish that we all didn't have to witness the slow, sad, mental decline. But, he left a legacy at that company, and his co-workers will remember him fondly. Guess my point is, from a business perspective, yes, you are replaceable and life/business goes on. But there are people working in that company too, who are trying to do their best, and that can include trying to support you on a personal level. In more developed countries, the Nordic ones, everything we work overtime is added to a flex bank, which we then can use for time off whenever we want. Smiley face. At many companies, coming in early and leaving late is absolutely a way to get noticed and promoted. But you have to ask yourself whether that's a company culture you want to work in. Yeah, this is just OP grinding an axe. Yeah, this tip should be don't go the extra mile if they have shown it won't be rewarded. At my current job I went above and beyond when necessary, and not unreasonably so, was helpful, a team player, wanted to learn and grow, helped guide others, etc., and I've gotten numerous promotions and more than doubled my salary. I have a ton of criticisms of where I work, but there are enough decent people above me that have taken notice of what I've done and rewarded me, and I'm far from the only one. I think they mean don't work for free. Same here. My OT wages are a little over $100 HR. So when I got the energy, I figure I'll just keep going. In my mind, I think they exploit me, so I'll exploit them. Toxic relationship where paradoxically everyone ends up happy. I am. She's been treating me well with my studies and placements, like internships. I rarely say no unless I am super busy. Even when I have doctor's appointments, I let them know when I can roughly be there if they still need me, and I'll call them when I am done with the appointment for good. Real LPT is in the comments. Good managers can make all the difference. Doesn't matter if you love the work if your manager sees you as a doormat. The flip side of a good manager like that is when they ask you to go above and beyond, you can trust they aren't doing it without a good reason. I usually don't mind working extra when a manager like that asks. Edit. Just also remembered you don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. That's a good one. I was asking why a certain teacher in my university had a designation of lecturer for past 2 decades while a younger guy comes in as a professor, and the lecturer is the leader. The reply was that to be promoted the lecturer needs to resign and reapply as a professor if it comes up. It's just idiotic. Had a job, my boss told me I was too smart to be his boss, that the company only wanted yes men at any level. Train him wrong as a joke. What will he say? That he didn't know that and someone lower than him told him wrong? Software engineers be like. We track our time and clarity for projects and things like that, and about a month ago my boss yelled at us about it. She told us that all of us were just putting 40 hours in, but she's aware we are all working between 42 to 45 hours a week on average. She told us if we all put in the actual time we work, it'll make it easier for her to get additional staff. Last week, due to an emergency issue, I worked about 50 hours and she made sure I had tracked it appropriately. It's nice when your boss is actually trying to get you the help so that you don't need to work more than 40. I'm a big routines and planning kind of person, and I check _all_ of my email first thing in the morning while I have coffee, which includes work email and calendar. I'll respond to things if it's less trouble to just respond than it would be to try to remember that there's an email waiting for me. I just like to understand what I have to do for the day when I wake up. I'm salaried though, so I don't really consider it unpaid, just a fair trade-off for some 15-minute chunk during the afternoon that I'm gonna spend dicking around on my phone. 10 days? Holy. I work in the public sector, so that means that I have to work bank holidays sometimes, and I've got 37 paid days. I do have to work Christmas or New Year every year though. Because I work 3 days a week, 12.5 shift, I have roughly 12 weeks of annual leave, almost 3 months. So not too bad. Someone mention this to my spouse please? As are 90% of posts about work strategies here. The other 10% are still advice that applies to the poster's situation specifically, but not necessarily to everyone's. I'm not defending being used, but that's an amazing work ethic that I hope carries over into your everyday life. Thumbs up sign. Sounds like someone who needs to have a heart-to-heart with the dean, then keep an eye open for any other facilities offering the position they want. Jeremy Irons as the big boss in margin call. It wasn't brains that got me here, I assure you. Better yet, stop giving him advice. Here are some key phrases she should try. / I'm much too busy at my job to do mine and yours. / what do you think you should do? / I don't know / I've never seen that before / that's not in my job description. / talk to your manager. We bill for project work and started using a time tracking app, Timely, and we are all logging the correct times now, and they are going mad because we are logging every single minute, whereas before we was guessing. That 15 minutes Teams phone call? Billed. Them 20 plus emails that the app said took up 30 minutes? Billed. Me having to open the vendor's site to log a ticket? Billed. Very real thing. My department is getting on this currently, can't get additional headcount unless we're recording 5+ hours of unpaid OT each. Same with my boss, except I refuse to work over 40 hours without a raise since I'm salary. I've been in the position of tracking hours to prove we need more people than hearing, well, you've been doing a great job at getting it all done anyways. Things aren't getting done and she's using that as her supporting info to request another person. So far, she's received pushback from the higher-ups, so she went to her direct manager and said, "You'll have to start deciding priorities because we cannot do everything that needs to be done. We're just letting go now and it's adding up." It's effective our customer service staff too since they need updated info, but since we keep getting urgent drop-ins, we can't get the regular work done. I'm holding out until around my next bonus, July, then looking for a new job. My bonus will be about $6,000 and we could really use that money. Plus, I don't stress about work anymore after my last job. I get done what I can then leave. I know I'm replaceable anywhere, so why worry? Do the best with what you have, and if it isn't enough, so be it.